Open your banking app right now and look at your savings account balance. That number you see? It's a lie. Not because the bank is cheating you, the digits are accurate, but what those digits can buy, the actual purchasing power sitting in your account, has been silently destroyed. If you had $10,000 in savings in January 2020, congratulations, you still have $10,000 today. But that $10,000 now buys what $6,000 bought 5 years ago. You didn't spend a penny, you didn't lose a dime, and yet 40% of your wealth vanished. Not in a market crash, not in a bank failure. It evaporated while you were sleeping, working, living your life, trusting that your money was safe. This is the greatest theft in human history, and it's completely legal. In the next 24 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how this happened, who benefits from it, and why everything you were taught about saving money is designed to keep you poor. I will prove, with government OS own data, that the dollars in your account are melting like ice cubes on a summer sidewalk. And I'll show you what the wealthy do differently. Because here's the secret they don't teach in school. Rich people don't and save money. They do something else entirely. And once you understand their playbook, you'll never look at your savings account the same way again. Let's start with the math they don't want you to see. What I'm about to show you is something I call the inflation trap. It's a 4-stage cycle that has repeated in every major economy throughout history. And right now, America is deep in stage 3. Stage 1, the expansion. Government needs money. Maybe for war, maybe for stimulus, maybe for programs that win votes. But raising taxes is political suicide. So instead, they print money, create it from nothing, add zeros to a computer screen. From 2020 to 2022, the Federal Reserve printed 4.8 trillion more than the previous 200 years of American history combined. Stage 2, the lag. Here's what most people don't understand. When new money enters the economy, prices don't rise immediately. There's a delay, usually 18 to 24 months. During this lag, everything feels fine. Free money shows up in bank accounts, stock markets rise, housing prices climb, everyone feels wealthy. This is the trap being set. Stage 3, the squeeze. The new money finally works through the system, prices start rising, but here's the cruel part. Wages don't rise at the same pace. Your grocery bill goes up 30%, your rent increases 25%, your car insurance doubles, but your paycheck, maybe up 10%, maybe. The gap between prices and wages is where your wealth disappears. Not all at once, but slowly, invisibly, month after month. Stage 4, the transfer. This is where the magic happens for the wealthy. See, inflation doesn't destroy wealth, it transfers wealth from people who hold cash to people who hold assets. Your savings account loses value every single day, but real estate, stocks, businesses, commodities, they rise with inflation. The rich get richer, the savers get poorer. Same amount of money in the system, just different pockets. This isn't an accident. It's not a bug in the system. It's the feature, and you're on the wrong side of it. Let me show you how this has played out before. The year is 1973. America is the undisputed economic superpower. The dollar is the world's reserve currency. Your parents or grandparents believe that saving money is the path to prosperity, and they're about to learn a brutal lesson. In October 1973, Arab oil producers announced an embargo against the United States. Gas prices tripled overnight. Lines at gas stations stretched for blocks. People waited hours for fuel. But the oil shock was just the trigger. The real problem had been building for years. In 1971, President Nixon did something that changed everything. He ended the gold standard. The dollar was no longer backed by physical gold, it was backed by nothing. Just trust, just faith. The moment that happened, the printing presses had no limits. From 1971 to 1980, the money supply doubled and prices followed. Let me show you exactly where we stand today with real numbers from official sources. The Bureau of Labor Statistics, the government has own data, shows cumulative inflation from January 2020 to January 2025 at 22.7%. But that's the headline number, the one they want you to see. Let's look at what actually matters. Groceries are up 25.8%. Now, here's the data they're actively hiding. The Federal Reserve publishes something called M2 money supply. This is the total amount of dollars in circulation. In February 2020, M2 was 15.4 trillion. By April 2022, it was 21.7 trillion. That's a 41% increase in the money supply in 26 months. All right, when you increase the supply of something by 41%, what happens to its value? It drops by roughly 40%. The math isn't complicated. More dollars chasing the same goods equals higher prices. Higher prices with stagnant wages equals destroyed purchasing power. Destroyed purchasing power equals you working harder to afford less. This is not inflation. This is debasement. Your government is systematically reducing the value of your labor, your savings, and your future. And they're doing it on purpose. Because here's the dirty secret. The U.S. government has $36 trillion in debt. The only way to pay that debt is with cheaper dollars. Dollars that are worth less. Dollars that have been deliberately inflated. Your savings account isn't an investment. It's a donation to the national debt. You're paying the bill, and they're not even sending a thank you note. Let me tell you what happens next. Because the same forces that destroyed 40% of your savings over the past 5 years are still operating, and they're about to accelerate. Wave 1, the debt spiral. The US government currently spends $1 trillion per year just on interest payments, not paying down debt, just interest. That's more than the entire defense budget. And here's the trap. When debt is this large, there are only 3 options. Option A, cut spending dramatically, politically impossible. Medicare, Social Security, defense, nobody will vote to cut them. Option B, raise taxes dramatically, also politically impossible and economically destructive. Option C, inflate the debt away, print more money, make each dollar worth less, pay back borrowed dollars with cheaper dollars. Which option do you think they'll choose? The one that's invisible, the one that doesn't require votes, the one that happens quietly? They will print. Wave 2, the wage price doom loop. Prices go up. Workers demand higher wages, companies raise wages, then raise prices to cover the higher wages. Workers demand higher wages again. This is called a wage price spiral. The Federal Reserve's own economists have warned that we're showing early signs of this pattern. Once it starts, it's almost impossible to stop without causing a severe recession. Wave 3, the global dollar rejection. For 80 years, the dollar has been the world's reserve currency. Every country needs dollars to buy oil, to trade, to hold reserves. That's changing. In 2023, China and Brazil agreed to trade in yuan. Saudi Arabia is accepting yuan for oil sales. Russia, Iran, India, they're all reducing dollar holdings. The de-dollarization trend is accelerating. Why does this matter? Because foreign demand for dollars has been propping up the dollar's value for decades. When China needs dollars to buy oil, they buy treasury bonds. That demand keeps the dollar strong. And when they don't need dollars anymore, that demand disappears. And when demand disappears, value collapses. My prediction, by 2030, your current savings will have lost an additional 25-35% in purchasing power. The $10,000 you have today will buy what $6,500 to $7,500 buys in 2030. Unless you do something different, unless you stop playing a game that's designed for you to lose. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, but inflation is coming down. The Fed said so. We're at 3% now. The worst is over. Well, let me stop you there. First, 3% annual inflation is not low. It's just lower than 9%. At 3% annual inflation, prices double every 24 years. Your $100 becomes worth $50 in purchasing power by the time you retire. That's not stability. That's slow motion destruction. Second, core inflation, the number they report, excludes food and energy. You know, the things you actually need to survive. When you include real costs that real families pay, the number's significantly higher than 3%. Third, even if inflation goes to 0 tomorrow, the damage is done. Prices don't go back down. Inflation is cumulative. Your eggs don't become $1.50 again just because inflation slowed. They stay at $3.20 forever. The 40% you lost, it's gone. It's not coming back. You're also thinking, but interest rates are high now. My savings account pays 4 or 5%. True, and inflation is running at 3-4%. So your real return after inflation is maybe 1%. 1%. At that rate, it takes 72 years to double your purchasing power. Meanwhile, asset prices are compounding at 8 to 10% per year. The gap is still widening, just slower. And here's the trap. The moment the economy weakens, the Fed will cut rates again. Your 5% savings account will become 1% again, but they won't reverse the money printing. You're also thinking, what am I supposed to do? I'm not a stock market expert. I don't have money to buy real estate. This is the final lie they've taught you. That investing is complicated, that you need experts, that regular people should just save and let the professionals handle it. No, the professionals handle it for their benefit. The system is designed to extract wealth from people who don't understand it and transfer that wealth to people who do. Your only protection is understanding, and then acting on that understanding. Which brings me to what you should actually do. Here are 5 specific actions. Not theory, not philosophy. Things you can do this week. Step 1. Stop treating your savings account as a wealth-building tool. Savings accounts are for emergencies, for short-term needs, for money you'll use within 12 months. Anything beyond that should not be in cash. Keep 3 to 6 months of expenses in savings. Everything else needs to be working for you, not against you. Step 2. Buy Treasury I-bonds. Go to Treasury Direct. Gov. You can buy up to $10,000 per year in I-bonds. I-bonds are inflation protected. Their interest rate adjusts based on actual inflation. Right now, they're paying around 5%. If inflation spikes again, they'll pay more. This is the government's own hedge against the money they're printing.